Yo, this is the Oddcast. Do shit a little bit more unorthodox over here. I started this Oddcast shit like earlier this year or last year. Oddcast, not podcast. You know I damn make up shit uniquely. Yeah, but I am your host, Sir Early NC, YouTube. And we're gonna be covering some more of Neil deGrasse Tyson. He talking about daylight saving times today. Yesterday, I shared with you all about the moon and you get what I'm saying, the stars and sun and shit like that. I mean, stuff like that. Excuse me, you all. Every salute. But I'm gonna be sharing this with you all. This is the Oddcast, not no podcast. The Oddcast. Remember that.
And yes, that is bugging me because I am still tired. Because I need every bit of sleep I can get. And when you take an hour from me, I am not a happy person. And then I find out that there are certain places that won't even do it. They stay the same all year long. And I'm like, so what the hell is going on? Why do we even have this in the first place?
Daylight saving time. Okay, so it goes back. We're talking about 18th century, early 19th century. So cities weren't electrified. There were no electric lights yet or anything. And so we had candles, and probably, do we have whale oil? Probably. Think oil, sources of energy to burn. But basically, you were awake in the daytime and slept at night. Okay. Come summertime, where the climate is delightful and you don't want to go to bed early. Okay, you don't want to go indoors early. You want to stay outdoors. So they figured out, let's take an hour from the morning when you might have otherwise been sleeping through it, an hour of sunlight, and stick it at the end of the day. Give you an extra hour of sunlight just when you want it most. So seemed like a good idea at the time.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
I'm trying to figure out how that changes, though. Because wouldn't you, I guess as the daylight.
We're talking about daylight. Yeah,
as the daylight shrinks, then in the morning, you have less of it.
So. No. We're talking about summertime, where we have the longest hours of daylight in the year. And
yeah, I'm saying, so wouldn't that be the case all year long? Just stick the hour in the end of the day.
I'm getting there. So watch. So the hours of daylight increases in the summer, okay? In June, July, end of May, June, July, August, those months have the most hours of daylight. And the daylight increased because the sun is rising earlier and setting later.
Gotcha.
Here's what they were reasoning. The sun was rising so early, you are still asleep. But we value playing in sunlight.
Gotcha.
So let's take that hour of sunlight that you're asleep and put it in the evening where you would rather use it at the pub, hanging out, on a picnic. And so that's what daylight saving time does. It shifts your access to the sun towards later in the day rather than earlier in the day. So in principle, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
Except today, no one is saying the sun is about to set. We have to get indoors. This is not Walking Dead, okay? This is
no games are called on account of darkness anymore.
Correct. And even if I'm old enough to remember when a baseball game lasted so long in a non-illuminated stadium, they had to postpone the game because it was too dark. But of course, we have what's called electricity. So we illuminate our indoors, our streets, our arenas, everything. So when that began to happen in the early 20th century, in a big way, post-war, everybody's electrified, neon lights are everywhere. Daylight saving looked more and more ridiculous as something to hold on to. I'm just saying, okay?
Yeah.
Then, watch this. Then, in the winter, when days are getting shorter and shorter and shorter, right when that's about to happen, they take that hour of sunlight, put it back into the morning, all right? Because daylight saving time ends, all right? And I'm saying, isn't that when you want extra
Whoever tuning in, this is the Oddcast, not podcast. I do stuff odd. You get what I'm saying? Unorthodox than others. Oddcast. I've been started this Oddcast shit earlier this year, last year, but didn't take it serious. Now I'm ready to bring it up back around.
Extra sunlight the most when you have the least of it, all right, in the winter. So the whole thing in modern times feels completely backwards and upside down. So I'm with the camp that is perfectly happy to get rid of it. Now, my wife grew up in Alaska. Now, the farther away there's a little known fact, the farther away you are from the equator, the bigger is the difference between the number of hours of daylight you have in the winter and the number of hours of daylight you have in the summer.
Okay.
So on the equator, it's 12 and 12, 365.
Okay.
Work your way away from the equator. Here in New York City's latitude, we get 8 hours. Is it 8:15? We get 8 hours of daylight in the winter and 16 hours of daylight in the summer.
Woo!
Yes.
Go summer.
Okay, it's a huge swing. At the farther north you go, or the closer you get to the poles, the more and more different that becomes. So here's my point. If the swing from one season to the other is 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, then what the hell are you doing moving this 1 hour on the calendar for daylight savings time? It's like it's completely absorbed by the fact that your daylight is varying by far more than that just by living at the latitude you are. So, oh, by the way, the equator is 12, 12, 365. You go to the Arctic Circle, there's a day where, of course, the sun never sets. And that's the first day of summer. And there's a day where the sun never rises. That's the first day of winter. So the variation is 24-hour difference. Oh my gosh. And you're going to move the time slot 1 hour? By the way, it even makes time zones look ridiculous. Alaska spans, the last I checked, officially 5 time zones. That feels like a lot, but the sun changes by more than 5 hours of whether you have it or not. So who cares about time zones when the sun is doing more changing than you ever did by making up the time zones to begin with? So clear heads prevailed and they reduced them. I don't think it's quite one time zone. I should have checked, but it's fewer time zones than is geographically allowed.
Okay.
In
that
Alaska.
makes sense.
Okay. So now let's go to Arizona. They were never on daylight saving time. Or if they were, they haven't been in a while. Why? Because they don't want more sunlight at the end of the day.
That kind of makes sense.
Because
They can't wait for nighttime.
They can't wait for nighttime. And Arizona, last I checked, is a quarter mile from the surface of the sun. Just so you know. So Arizona is not a champion of daylight saving time. But you get these jokes. I don't know how real they are, because people sometimes like making fun of sort of farm folk. But one of the jokes, I don't know if it was a joke or it was real. The farmer said, I don't want to go daylight savings time because I want my crops to have all the sunlight they can at the end of the day. And
because crops eat sun for dinner?
for dinner, it's not.
What is that? What the crops?
No, my crops need it in the morning, and so, but the crops don't have a wristwatch, right?
Yeah.
So
that doesn't. I love it though. You know, just
it's a fun.
I love the idea of seeing a stalk of corn with like a Timex on it. That'd be kind of cool.
It's like, dude, give me back my hour of sunlight. What'd you do with it? You were asleep. Get off your ass.
So how about this? Why don't we just leave it the same and sleep longer in the morning? See, how about we just do that?
Says the comedian who works at night, right?
Right.
Sleep.
Just start your day later, man.
So anyhow, I'm not going to force people into it or not, but if you ask me, I would vote. It's overstayed its welcome, and right now, no one gives a rat's ass.
There you go.
All right, we got to call it quits there. Jack, always good to have you. That's
always a pleasure.
Start Talk.
Yo, so that was another one. He explaining daylight saving time. Y'all go look at my shit yesterday and see what he was talking about yesterday. But yeah, man, I'm gonna find some more little stuff to do. I don't know if I'm gonna drop that shit today though, but y'all gonna see more of me today and shit. I'm gonna start back dropping like 4 vids and shit. Then I'm gonna drop them shits as premieres and shit. It ain't gonna just be no anything. I'm gonna damn start back to getting to my editing and shit too. You get what I'm saying? I'm gonna work on my thumbnails and shit too. I think I'm almost at 250 subs. I don't know. You get what I'm saying? So they was declining before, but they coming in, going up and shit. So salute to whoever stumble across my channel, man. Rock with that shit. For real. All appreciation.